Hello, awesome people. My name is Mary, and I am your friendly teen services librarian at the Scotlandville Branch Library. Every year on May 26th, we have this little lesser-known holiday known as Paper Airplane Day, so we are going to celebrate by making some airplanes. Usual heads up, supplies are limited, first come, first serve, and I'd like to give a shout out to foldandfly.com for these awesome plane designs. So when you swing by the library to pick this up, you will get 3 printed plane templates. You'll also get 3 blank sheets of paper to experiment with, and you will also need scissors. So first I want to introduce you to the concept of valley folds and mountain folds. A valley fold is where you fold the edges of the paper in towards you, so when you unfold it, it looks like a valley. Now, a mountain fold is the opposite. It's where you fold the edges of the paper away from you, so when you unfold it, it looks like, well, a mountain. So with that out of the way, we're going to get started with our first plane. This one is called the dart. To start folding the dart, you'll take your sheet of paper and you'll fold it in half vertically, and then you'll unfold it. This is a valley fold. Next, you'll fold the 2 top corners down in toward the center line. Don't unfold these, leave them folded. Next, you're going to fold those 2 topped edges down again, but fold them away from you. These are your mountain folds, so if you unfold them, they look like mountains. So this is what it'll look like if you flip it over. If you find it easier to flip it over and fold it like you're folding valleys and then flip it back over, you can do that. Then fold the entire plane in half along that same line you folded to start. So when you folded it in half the first time, fold it along that line again. Then fold your wings down and then unfold them. And that is your dart. This is probably one of the easiest paper airplanes out there to fold. So go ahead and give it a toss and see how it flies. So here's some cool tips. You can actually modify the tips of the wings. You can fold them up or fold them down to modify how the plane flies. So if you fold it up, it might pitch upward a little bit. If you fold it down, it might pitch downward. And to make the plane do barrel rolls, fold one wing tip up and fold one wing tip down, and then give it a throw and see what it does. So the next plane we're going to do, this one is called the lock bottom plane. This one is a really smooth flyer, but you will need scissors for this one. So we're going to start the lock bottom plane off the same way. You're going to fold that paper in half vertically, and you're going to unfold it. This is, again, a valley fold. Then you're going to, again, fold those 2 top corners in toward the center line. This sounds kind of familiar. But now we're going to do something different. We're going to fold the paper horizontally now. So that point that was at the top of your paper should now be pointing down facing you. There should be about an inch of space between the point and the bottom of the paper. Now take those 2 top corners and fold them in toward the center again. So that point that's now facing you, the tip of it should be poking out just a little. Now take that little flap and fold it up so it locks those 2 flaps in place. That's why we call this a lock bottom plane. Then fold the plane in half. But you're going to fold it the opposite way that you folded the paper to start. So this would be like a mountain fold now instead of a valley fold. Then fold your wings down. The body of the plane should be about an inch-ish wide. So gauge that on how far you want to fold those wings down. Then take about a ½ inch at the very tips of the wings and fold those up to make little flaps. And now is where you're going to need scissors. Cut little notches close to the ends of the wings. You don't want to cut them on those little flaps, but cut them just before you get to those little flaps. Once you cut little notches, fold the little flaps that you cut, fold them up just a little bit. It gives the plane a little bit more lift. And now you are ready to fly. I think this one is probably my favorite paper airplane to make just because it flies so beautifully. But now we're going to move on to one that's kind of funky. This one is called the water plane. It looks kind of like a boat, and it glides like it's kind of riding the waves, like a boat rides the waves. So to start with the water plane, you're going to fold that paper in half vertically, but don't unfold it just yet. Instead of unfolding it, you want to fold that paper in half vertically again. So you're going to fold it in half, and then you're going to fold it into quarters, basically. Then unfold it all. So you'll notice you'll have 3 fold lines going along the paper, and you'll need those for reference later. Then fold your paper horizontally, leave about 3 inches of space at the bottom of the piece of paper. Then fold those 2 topmost corners in toward the outermost 2 fold lines. So you know how I told you you have 3 fold lines? You're going to fold those top corners in toward the leftmost one and the rightmost one, like you see here. So those 2 fold lines, fold the top corners into those. So this is where folding this plane can get a little bit fiddly. You want to take those top corners that you just folded down and unfolded, and you want to poke them in so that corner folds inside of the plane. So what I do is I kind of take my nail and I kind of run it along that crease along the side, and then that kind of helps it fold in a little bit better. So when those top corners are folded to the inside of the plane, it should look like this. Now if you take a look, those 2 flaps that are pointed to there, those are separate flaps. They're, kind of separate from the rest of the plane now. So you want to take those 2 flaps and fold them in toward that center line. Don't fold the entire thing in toward the center line. I tried doing that the first time I tried making this plane, and I was wondering what the heck I did wrong because nothing after it made sense. So make sure you're just folding those 2 top flaps in toward the center. Then fold the entire thing in half. Make sure you folded it the same way that you folded your paper to start. Now this here honestly is probably the hardest fold out of all 3 airplanes we're going to do today. So you need to fold the front of the plane like you did those accordion folds earlier. What I do is I kind of pinch the paper to bring those red lines together, and then I pinch it and I crease it. So it'll look like this when you're done. Now all there's left to do is to fold those 2 wings down. You'll follow those fold lines, those 2 outer fold lines that you made near the beginning, and fold the wings down. And you are ready to fly. So here are some tips for this one. This one is kind of front heavy, so you need to throw it at an upward angle or it'll just nosedive. So when you throw it kind of like you're throwing it toward the ceiling. So the first 2 planes that we made, both of those kind of glide steady. This one is different. This one doesn't glide steady like those first 2. This one, if you've ever been on a boat, it kind of bobs up and down. That's what this plane does. So don't expect to throw it and for it to just glide steady. Alright, so the rest is up to you. Try folding some of your own planes and compare them to these 3. Can you make some that fly further or stay in the air longer? Or can you fold one that does some really cool acrobatic tricks? I just want to thank y'all for watching this. I hope y'all have a great day. I hope y'all have a great start to your summer. And always remember to stay awesome.